Hi, I'm Kenesha. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to talk about The Other Black Girl, Season 1, Episode 3. I'm really enjoying this series so far. I know it's only been 3 episodes, but the mystery of what happened to Kendra is super intriguing to me, and I'm just loving the mystery so far. And I love how the show is connecting Kendra and Diana to what is happening with Nella and Hazel. It's just super interesting how the show is handling it, and that there are some parallels that are happening. And of course, like from the jump, you could tell that Nella and Hazel were gonna probably end up like Diana and Kendra, and at least there was gonna be some aspect of probably history repeating. So I just love this mystery of what happened to Kendra and how Nella and Hazel are kind of fitting into the same pattern. It's just really interesting. Like, so far, I feel like the tone of the show is kind of interesting because it's been fun for me to watch so far, even though the subject matter is probably a little heavy. And I don't think that there's going to be a happy ending right now. Like, it doesn't feel like it to me. So it's pretty cool to see how the show is kind of balancing tone. Like, there's dark stuff happening, and it feels like something dark is happening, like with Kendra and kind of with Hazel. Because I think Hazel is kind of on the same path as Diana and try to have Nella end up be like Kendra. So that's kind of dark, but it's pretty funny in a lot of scenes. And I feel like the tone is just kind of fun and comedic, but it still has dark elements. So that's been great to see, and I've really been enjoying it so far. I do love seeing the flashbacks of Diana and Kendra. That I did not expect to see any of that, so that was a fun surprise for me. I am like, the fact that we're seeing flashbacks, it does make me concerned for Nella, because like I've said before, I just feel like there is a parallel between Nella and Hazel, or specifically Nella and Kendra. I just feel like Nella's probably going to end up like Kendra in whatever alternate dimension she wound up in. But yeah, the fact that we are seeing Diana and Kendra's relationships and their friendship dynamic, and probably how it all went bad, it just feels like a bad sign for Nella. And Nella's like potential to come out of this unscathed. I like these first 3 episodes, it really seems like Nella's gonna end up like Kendra, and I'm kind of dreading it. And it would be awesome to see if somehow Nella could subvert that. It just, man, it really feels like that's gonna happen. But yeah, it would be awesome to see if Nella could, I don't know, flip the script somehow and stop it somehow. I hope the flashbacks between Diana and Kendra continue. I'm not sure what else the show has in store, but I hope we get to see the two of them like working at Wagner together. I don't know how it really works, but feels like Diana maybe has to come into Wagner Books, and like Kendra's an editor, she's not a writer. But I don't know, it would just be interesting for me to see Diana come into Wagner and work with Kendra. I assume they have to like be at the office together, I don't know, but well, I guess they don't have to be in Wagner to work on her book. So it would just be nice to see Diana and Kendra working on the book together. And I'm sure there must have been a lot of turbulence in the process of that book, because somehow I think Vera said that Kendra disappeared after the book's release. So I don't know if the like supernatural magic is in the book or if it's in Wagner or Richard. I have no idea right now. But something about the book is kind of suspicious to me, so I just want to see them working on it. And like, does weird stuff happen while they work on the book? I'm really trying to figure out what's up with Hazel. I've said before that I think I've said before that Hazel met Diana. That's from the show, not my own original thoughts. But I think Diana gave Hazel the sauce on how to succeed at Wagner. And I maybe there's some kind of ritual or something happening that Diana did. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe Diana did some kind of ritual. The thing about that is I don't know what Richard's involvement in all of this is. Like, I think he's involved in Kendra's disappearance, but it's hard to tell right now. There's not enough information. I don't think the show has said enough about that to really say which way, but I'm kind of leaning on the fact that Richard probably had something to do with it. But I'm getting sidetracked. I was supposed to be talking about Hazel. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out Hazel, and it's weird to me that it seemed like Hazel is mirroring both Diana and Kendra. Her head was bleeding like Kendra was in the first episode while she was like running out of the building. And Hazel did the like hand promise gesture that Diana did in this episode, in the beginning of this episode. But I mean, that gesture could just be a Diana and Kendra thing, not specifically a Diana thing. But Diana initiated it, so that's why I was thinking it's Diana's thing, and that Hazel was also mirroring Diana. But that might not be important. The fact that Hazel's head was bleeding does make me wonder, like, has Hazel tried whatever ritual it was that sent Kendra, or that made Kendra disappear? Has she tried it before? And I was thinking maybe Hazel tried it at her previous place of employment. She mentioned she worked with another Black woman that didn't like her. Maybe that screwed up the ritual. God, my voice. I'm recording this very early in the morning and I just woke up, so that's why my voice is all scratchy, but this is the best time for me to record this, so here we go. So what was I saying about Hazel? Oh, I think Hazel maybe tried the Kendra disappearance at her previous place of work, and it didn't work. I think that's why her head is bleeding, and maybe, like, I just had this thought, like, what is the ritual? It kind of feels like there's some sort of, well, it doesn't feel like this. I'm just throwing out ideas. I wonder if there's some kind of transfer element to whatever this ritual is. Like, I really haven't thought this through, but it feels like if Hazel tried this, I'm calling it a ritual, before at her previous job, maybe it didn't work, maybe it's incomplete. and she needs another black woman to finish the job, basically. And I wonder if the unknown phone caller that called Nella at the party, I wonder if that was somehow, it could have been the woman that Hazel previously worked with, or it could have been the person from the first episode, who I think I'm going to call Scarface. It was the woman that was kind of staring at Nella in the first episode, and she bumped into the security guard and took his badge. So I'm just going to call that person Scarface until I figure out what her name is and she comes back into the show. But it could have been her, it could have been the lady that Hazel previously worked with, or they could be one and the same. I don't know. It did kind of feel like the person from the first Scarface kind of felt like she could have been trying to look out for Nella, and maybe Scarface knew that Hazel started working at Wagner. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Scarface and the lady that Hazel previously worked with were the same person, and it did look like that person had some kind of scar on her forehead, so that's why I'm calling her Scarface. But yeah, that kind of it's suspicious, the scar. I know scars kind of generally in TV are kind of bad people have scars, but I think this person is trying to protect Nella. And I think she might have been part of the ritual, and I think Hazel tried it on her, and somehow it didn't work. So Hazel's trying again. Maybe. Richard is a very intriguing and interesting and kind of baffling figure and character in the story. I'm trying to figure out who is responsible for what happened to Kendra. And I've been going back and forth between Richard, Colin, Diana. It could be someone we haven't met before. It could be a combination of the three of those people. I don't know. I don't know. I think I said, I don't actually remember, but I might have said that I thought Richard was responsible in the first episode, or maybe the second episode. And then at some point I thought maybe it was Diana's fault that Kendra's gone, but I don't know. Richard at the party, supporting Nella, that's nice as a boss. But then she brought up Kendra, and he just kind of totally changed and kind of clammed up, so to speak. So the way that the ending with Richard played out, it could be that he had something to do with Kendra's disappearance, or he could genuinely be shocked and grieving that she's gone, and he had no clue what happened to her. And him telling Nella that Kendra took her own life, that could just be something he made up to, I don't know, explain her disappearance. I don't know. It could go either way at this point. And I personally kind of want to pin Kendra's disappearance on Diana. So I'm trying to figure out a way for Richard to be involved but not really be involved, and he could just be sad that Kendra's gone. He said that he Kendra or what happened to Kendra was something he regretted, or it was his biggest regret, something like that, I think. So it could just be maybe he has no clue. It's hard to really believe, but at this point, it's still possible. I don't know. I kind of don't feel like Diana could have done whatever she did alone. I kind of feel like there must have been like a bunch of steps to finish whatever ritual she did to make Kendra disappear. And I don't know. I'm torn. I'm really torn about how much Richard knows about the truth of Kendra. And of course, the phone call he made was very interesting. It makes it seem like it seems sinister. And I guess he's calling in someone to, I don't know. I don't know what's supposed to happen. I'm gonna be very surprised. I'm looking forward to seeing what that means, and will I actually be able to connect the dots? Like, I don't know if I'll be able to, or if the show will just say that the phone call Richard made this episode immediately leads to something else happening later on. I don't know, some mystery person popping up. It would be crazy if it was Diana. And that would make me think Richard was in on what happened to Kendra. So I don't know. It would kind of be, I wouldn't hate seeing present day Diana. Because I don't think anyone would, but I wish someone would ask her about Kendra and what does Diana think happened to Kendra. And it is the same story as Richard. Like, if they're in cahoots, it should be the same story. But if they're not, like, working together, then Diana might say something different about what happened to Kendra. So that would be interesting to me to see. And, like, I mean, I don't have any other guesses about who Richard could be calling at the end of this episode. It could just be a totally new character. Like, that's absolutely possible. It kind of feels unlikely, and I would like it to be Diana. Although that would be scary for Nella. If Diana is, like, physically going to be near Wagner, near Hazel, that feels like it could be disastrous for Nella. So I'd like to see it, but also I don't want anything bad to happen to Nella. So that would be rough to see. Like, that might feel like a train wreck coming down the tracks. I mean, I guess it's also possible that Richard, at the end when Richard sees Nella and Hazel together, get in a cab, maybe, like, I didn't write down what he said over the phone, but maybe he's calling someone to look, like, kind of spy on Hazel. If Richard had nothing to do with Kendra's disappearance, then he might be suspicious of Diana. And he might see Hazel as some kind of threat. It would be interesting if, like Richard said when he was talking to Nella, that Nella reminds him of Kendra. So it would be interesting to see whether Richard would also try to protect Nella from any sort of threats or like history repeating in any way. So maybe whoever Richard called, like it could have been someone to like keep tabs on Hazel. And it would be interesting if that person was Diana. And then, of course, secretly, without Richard really knowing, Diana and Hazel could be working together to make Nella disappear like Kendra. So that would be kind of complicated, but that would be really interesting to see. So I don't know. I'm just really, like, this is such a fun show. And I love the mystery elements of it. And I wonder if by the end we'll actually figure out what happened to Kendra. Well, if Nella ends up like her, then I'm sure we're gonna see it. But if Nella, I don't know, doesn't end up like Kendra, then I still wonder if there's gonna be any sort of explanation about what happened to her. I mean, probably. I don't think the show can end without explaining exactly what happened to Kendra. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who had a hand in what happened to Kendra. So speaking of the end, I've been trying to think of what are some possibilities for how the show could end. Of course, my leading candidate is Nella ends up like Kendra and will disappear into some alternate dimension or something. But it could, like I think I've said this in the previous video, like it could be that Nella is able to subvert those expectations and kind of flip it around and have Hazel end up like Kendra. One unlikely possibility is that Nella quits Wagner, so Hazel can't do anything, supposedly. I do wonder if, like, whatever ritual is happening, like, do you have to be an employee? Does the ritual have to take place inside the building? Like, could Hazel, like, invite some random woman to Wagner and trap her like Diana did to Kendra? Probably. I don't know. There's a whole lot that I don't know, and I'm just guessing and throwing out ideas, and it's just really fun for me. Try and figure out what's happening. So I'm having a great time. So Nella quitting is probably unlikely. I've also wondered, like, could Nella like pull Kendra out of whatever dimension she's in right now and like save her? I was just thinking that it seems so far that Nella is like a do the right thing kind of person, and she really strives to do the right thing, and she felt bad for apologizing to Colin, and in this episode she felt bad for pitting Maisie and Vera against each other so she and Hazel could go to the party. So there's these moments where she feels bad by doing something bad or doing something that's against her moral code, I think. And I'm wondering what that means for the ending, because I don't feel like Hazel turning Nella into Kendra is the right thing. And if Nella is able to figure out what is happening before it happens, then I think she's gonna try and stop it. So what might stopping it entail? Does that mean Hazel ends up in like the freaking upside down or whatever? Does that mean Nella is able to pull Kendra out of this alternate dimension? Does that mean Nella quits when she realizes there's some funny business happening at this company? Like, I don't know what that means for the ending. And there's just like, it could go a bunch of different ways. I'm still not sure about this show having a happy ending. So Nella's proclivity to do the right thing might not even matter. It might not factor at all into how she ends up, whether she's okay or not. So that kind of sucks, but doesn't feel like this is gonna have a happy ending, so might not matter. So we're 3 episodes in, and I've been asking myself this for every episode and every video I do about the show. Is Nella going to end up like Kendra? So far, 3 for 3. I do think ultimately Nella will end up in some all upside down alternate universe wherever Kendra is. And one of the things that really makes me think that for this episode is when Nella was talking to Lena at that party. Lena made a comment about nothing ever changes, and that stuck with me. I mean, that line might not really be that important, but to me, it felt like another clue about the ending. If nothing ever changes, it just seems like history's going to repeat, and history with Wagner is going to repeat. So I wonder if, well, Hazel said she wanted to be an editor at the party, so the dynamic between Hazel and Nella and Kendra and Diana is not exactly identical. Because Diana was a writer, Kendra was an editor. The fact that the two of them are editors maybe throws a wrench into history repeating exactly. So I don't know. It would be super interesting if at some point, I just had this idea. Nella reaching out to the podcaster Jesse might come back in the fact that maybe Jesse could end up being in the Diana role, and Hazel and Kendra could fight over being like the final editor for that book. And that would kind of be a twist on Diana and Kendra, but like still, like each of the roles would be filled, I think, in that case. Like there would be a writer, and then Hazel and Nella, I guess, would have to duke it out to figure out who's going to be the editor for that book if it happens. So I'm sorry my voice is all scratchy and everything, but this is the time to make this video. So I don't know if that's where this is going. And I'm not sure what other way Jesse could factor into the show. It would be, I mean, this show's pretty awesome because it feels like there's a lot of women in the workplace. Of course, Nella and Hazel, Vera and Maisie, and then there's those 2 ladies that are always together. I think one of them is named Shannon. I don't remember the other lady's name from the subtitles. So, but the 2 of them are together a lot. There's Sophie, So I think it's cool that there's a lot of women in the show. And then there's Nella's best friend as well. So that's great to see all these ladies in the workplace. And there's only like a handful of dudes. There's Nella's boyfriend, Colin, Richard, the guy with a dog in the office. I think his name is Matt, but he's there too. So Jesse potentially coming into this workspace. Like, I do low-key wonder, like, how many black people can actually be in Wagner. I don't think there's ever been more than 2. So if Hazel and Nella and Jesse try to go into the building, like, would something weird happen at all, or I'm overthinking things? I don't know. That could be funny. Like, if there is something suspicious and supernatural and spooky happening in Wagner, and Jesse tries to show up. Okay, I guess I said it right. It would be kind of funny if Hazel was the one that would decide to not meet up in the building. Maybe they could meet in that, I don't know, pavilion area that Hazel and Nella were in the first episode. Like, it would just be interesting if Jesse never enters the building while Nella and Hazel are inside of it. Could be funny. But I just think that's interesting. So there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to seeing in the future episodes. Like, how much is Richard involved? How much does he really know? Of course, can't wait to see the ending. That's really going to be interesting. And I do really wonder, like, how much Jesse, the podcaster, is going to factor into the story. Yeah, so those things are, like, top of mind for me right now. And I can't wait to see how that all plays out. But last thing before I wrap up this video, let me know in the comments, who are you at a party? Hazel or Nella? I'm definitely a Nella. I feel super awkward, like, meeting new people. I'm introverted. So yeah, like, meeting new people and small talk is not my jam. And I'm much more likely to stay home than go to a party. So yeah, I'm definitely a Nella, but what about you? Let me know in the comments. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time for episode 4.